morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by three very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you for joining us. My name is Tommy Daslow, and joining me as always...
It's Ben Vanel here. I'm about to roll a 20-sided die for charisma. Oh, I got a 1.
Yeah.
Speaking of ones...
You get a minus 10 for having that die in your pocket as well.
That is the cruel irony.
That's a big disadvantage. Hello, I'm Raylor. Raylor Knox.
Wow. You still called your character surname Knox?
I gave him a surname.
That's cool.
No,
That's
I
sick.
named him Dog. I just for some reason name all my characters Dog because I hate thinking of names. It just takes me 5 hours in a game, in a role-playing game. If I have a kid...
You're going to call it
Dog?
Dog?
No, we're going to be there for a long time. I won't put the kid through being called Dog.
Yeah.
It's too loaded. The bounty hunter, the animal, in that order is probably what people will think of.
What's the highest sided die you can get? What's the most sided die?
Someone's probably made a 1,000-sided die as like a gimmick.
Oh, I reckon there's you know how there's a limit to how many times you can fold a piece of paper?
Because at some point it's just a sphere, right? And it's not
Right.
going to land on the
Yeah,
top of
yeah.
anything.
And to see the numbers, it'd have to be huge.
Yeah.
Right. You need a
So-
drone hovering above the die.
You can
Yes.
get a
Look straight down.
100-sided die for sure, but also you can just roll 2 10s and use them as the digits. Yeah. This guy role plays.
This guy maths.
Well, what do we got this week? What's going on? Bit of news.
Yes.
I'm really hungover. I have to put my cards. I have to put my die on the table.
He's the Johnny Carson of video games. So, fucking, who's today?
I'm a bit sleepy, eh?
one of the
nightmare
birds.
week.
One of
Having
these
to
old-
record a pod the day after going to a Bucks party.
Oh, yeah.
Hell on earth.
And a real tame Bucks party from what I can tell.
I was home pretty early, but it
Okay.
started early in the afternoon.
Right. And you
And
don't
we
mean
record
like...
this on a Thursday, so it started early in the afternoon on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple of people where I was like, it started at 4 in the afternoon, and there were a couple of people where I was saying to someone, where's this person and this person? And they were like, at work. I'm like, oh yeah. It was like 90% comedians and then just like the random like couple of normal friends that this person has. Just
Yeah.
like, yeah, well, I guess I'll have to just put the punch card in and then I'll head down.
Nice
a bit
to know
late.
who's worth planning around and who is not.
But, well, I'll tell you who's been doing a bit of planning.
Oh, yeah.
The fellas in at Rockstar Games.
They love to... Well, they don't like to plan a lot of announcements often, I suppose. They have it like people are waiting... Yeah, that's all. That was the end of the sentence, really.
People are waiting for
Yeah.
them to plan
for
announcements.
them to plan announcements for more things. And they announced this week a port of Red Dead Redemption. And I think people got very let down. People did get let down by it, partly because throughout the week, there was stuff of like their website's been updated with a new font.
Yes.
It's the Red Dead Redemption font. There's this map is being...
It got rated in South Korea.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
people are like really digging around and did not expect this to be a Switch and PS4 release of a non-changed version of Red Dead Redemption 1, which is like, it's cool to have games wherever so that you can play them.
Yeah. That one specifically was hard to get, right? Like like off the consoles it was released on.
Yeah.
It's easy to get on the Xboxes because of their backwards compatibility.
Oh,
so you
sure.
can still buy that and the Undead Nightmare thing on the Xbox, just the 360 versions, which is all that this really is.
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah,
re-released. And it is slightly cheaper than to buy this re-release of it. People got mad because this is $50.
It's a weird thing where people get mad because they're like, I thought there'd be a remaster and there's not. It's
Right.
like, well, that's not... You thinking it should happen isn't really Rockstar's fault.
No,
You
no,
know,
no.
people got built up.
It's your own hype that you created. Like, they didn't announce that there was going to be one.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
yeah, they weren't teasing it.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like you saw a thing and assumed that it was coming.
I
Yeah.
suppose these days they are relatively abnormal for not dipping into the back catalogue and remastering as often as
True.
a lot of people do. So I guess from that perspective, it's unusual.
I do
But
think the way they go about things is very weird. Other than their like big, like main new releases, the way they handle their back catalogue, I think they're getting into like, there's a lot of bad will already for them after the GTA debacle of whenever
That's
that
the
was
thing.
last year or the year before.
Yeah.
Because became evident that they weren't going to work with that studio again who fucked up those GTA re-releases. And they were remastered to some extent and then also completely broken. So I think people were also excited about this because they're like, yeah, Rockstar are doing it themselves. And when they make a game, they care about it.
Right.
But also, no, they don't because they've been making GTA Online for 10 years now.
Right.
Well, they
and-
care about that bottom line.
Yeah.
Oh, they love that bottom. They probably call it the arse line with their twisted sense of humor over at
Yes,
Rockstar.
yes.
I mean, people getting really like upset that it's not going to be a remaster, and then I watched the trailer and I was like, "This doesn't look too dated. It looks
Right.
It looks fine.
It
doesn't
looked
look
good at
like
the time, yeah.
super janky. It looks, and it's cool that it's on Switch. Like, it's a
Yeah.
cool game to be able to have portable. But I mean, it is weird that again, I think a thing that they haven't done themselves favors with. People are like, well, why is it only 30 frames per second? Like, if it's running on a PS4, PS5, it should be able to do 60 if they haven't.
Is it
if
that
they
on
haven't
the
changed anything about it?
4 and 5 versions as well?
I think it is.
'Cause
I think
you-
it's locked
right.
at 30, which people are like, you're just straight up copying it over. Like,
Yes,
at least
exactly.
make it
Yeah,
run a
yeah.
little smoother. And it's like, you can make it look, a smoother frame rate is going to make it look a little more souped up. That does so much work for you in terms of making it feel a bit more next gen.
And people have wanted a PC version forever. The thing that you always heard about that game as well was that it was a mess
Yes.
when they made it, and that it was very hard to do anything else with it because the code was such a web.
Yeah. It seems like, they can't, they even literally can't go in and just up the frame rate because, it's like, well, we can't. The
It's
whole thing's hanging together
precariously-
by glue. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when they do it being, oh, okay, well, this is just a re-release, and then it's also pretty expensive for that standard of thing. But the CEO of Take-Two was like, we think it's commercially accurate, the price, which is the most cold,
Yeah.
I only live in business bubble
Yeah.
language that you could have possibly used
Yeah.
to
But
describe that.
He
Yeah.
is right, though.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
Everyone
the thing
thinks
is like,
that way in
Yeah.
those positions, but fucking put a little sugar on it, my
I
friend.
know. People get so annoyed by, I can't believe this is costing this much and it's, it's this old of a game. It's like, well, if you can go in fresh and get a solid experience out of it and get a solid amount of playtime out of it, like how long is the game? It's like, it's not like paying...
I mean, it's an open world game, so
Yeah, exactly. It's not
pretty-
like paying
yeah.
$80 for like a NES game or something. It's like you're going to get... you are going to get value for money in terms of the amount of time that you're going to put into it if you're enjoying it. And I mean, there just is the cost of this stuff is like, it is kind of all over the place. Some companies will throw you a bone and put something out at a reduced rate, or this isn't uncommon.
Yeah.
it's
It's
not
been
like
done so much at this point that I guess there are expected standards that match what other people have done with it, that they are maybe a little overshooting.
But I think also he's right. It's like, well, we're going to take a bet on the people who are loudly annoyed at it, either still being in a tiny minority or still buying it.
Well, that's the
You
thing.
know?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like,
'cause-
hey, if you don't buy it, maybe that will create enough of a groundswell. Like what's happened with microtransactions and stuff, enough people got annoyed at them that companies literally removed them from their games or changed their strategy. But I guess they're like, the game's good enough and you might be annoyed by it, but you're still going to buy it.
That's the thing.
Which
It's
is
like
very cold and calculated.
Yeah, I
but
think they've crunched the numbers and just gone, well, who do we think is most likely to buy this? Probably people that never played one back in the day. So for them, it doesn't really matter if it's remastered. Like a remaster matters most for people who've already played it back in the day
Right.
and want to go back in. So they've probably
well,
just...
and just updating it.
Well,
to,
I mean, it
modern
is
standards.
when the second one being a prequel and it does lead directly into the events of the first one.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
does. It's similar to like the Last of Us Part 1 thing where they're like, these games are both tied together so intrinsically that it just makes sense to be able to like play one and then roll straight into the next one and
Right.
have them look consistent.
I think that was part of it too, is that some of that landmass is already in 2.
Yes.
So like
It's there.
people were looking at that and thinking, well, it would be doable, I suppose. But yeah, it would be a bigger project and whatever. But
and I guess like Naughty Dog are like, well, our our probability says if you do it really, really well, it'll sell even more than just having it there.
well, and then their gamble too was we'll redo it and then it costs the same price as a brand new game and it won't work well on the PC. It's rarely done super well, but then you get like Dead Space or Resident Evil 4 and stuff where they put like a huge amount of effort into it.
That are almost like new games.
A fresh game,
I think the weirdest thing about it...
From the point of view that it will make them money,
absolutely,
but it is a worse standard of product than many other companies make currently.
Right.
It is strange that after the debacle of them re-releasing those GTAs, that they are still prepared to do things that are just gonna add to that pile of bad will that they have. I think the weirdest thing about it, like I can understand, like, you know, crunching the numbers and looking at the time and money it's going to take you to do a full remaster and decide that it's not worth it. But what's weirdest to me is like releasing it now. I don't get like, it seems weird to not do it closer to when 2, because when 2 was announced, I was like, I really want to play 1. I never played it.
Right.
You can't really get it easily on anything. It's weird when all you're doing is just shuffling it across to just sit on it for this long and do it now. Is the strange thing. It would have been nicer to have it come out around. Like, I would have loved to have quickly gone in on it before playing 2.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it as well, right? Is that like, well, if this could have been done in 2017 to the same degree, then how come it's 6 years after 2017?
Right. Yeah.
Why have I got all these grey hairs? What have you done to me, Take-Two? Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I do think that it is probably a bit rich, but also I paid $70 for Pikmin 1 and 2, which are GameCube games. And the fucking fonts in those games, I forgot to say this ever when we were talking about them, they've stretched out some of the fonts down the bottom of the screen just to widescreen it.
Yeah.
Fucking hate that shit.
That's no good.
Yeah, it's... I mean, but look, all that aside, I never played 1, and it's out next week. And
It's
I'm
great.
looking forward to finally being able to play it. Like,
I recommend you buy it.
yeah, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Just reading all the stuff of people being mad, I'm like... Well, I am the target audience.
Right.
Like, I never played it. Like I said, looking at the trailer, I'm like, this doesn't look like a PS2 game or anything. Like, it doesn't look too rough around the edges. Like, I'm looking forward to going in.
A fool and his money are soon parted, in my opinion.
Although, I wonder if it's gonna, launch and have the issues that, you know, the GTA. Like, I wonder if
cool.
they'll, that would be something. that would
Surely
be
they've
interesting.
been careful of that. You'd have to imagine that, like, because those were the worst that's been done. Almost.
Pretty
Maybe
much.
ever.
The surprise of, you know, kind of ending up looking forward to them trying it out, and like the disbelief I felt at how bad of a job they'd done.
Well, I was in the target audience. I'd never played them. I was like, oh, this will be great, and then being like, this is some of the worst stuff that's ever been.
Those like AI up-resed textures where like the words were spelt wrong. Like it was,
Music
it was crazy.
missing, and then on the Switch it was even worse.
Fuck.
Yeah, that is the thing. I'm a little like...
If you wiggled back and forth, if you like drove along and wiggled your car back and forth, it would constantly get wider and wider and wider until it just filled the whole screen. Like there was insane stuff with those that it really did seem like, before people were talking about it quite as much, they're like, AI made this game.
Right.
It's turned out bad. So it's a good game, and if you've never played it, like decide if it's worth $50 to you.
Yeah.
If you've got an Xbox, you can probably get it cheaper.
And
if
well,
you've got a PS3, you can get it cheaper. You know,
The Xbox version, apparently you can do it 60 frames, which is the other thing where people
Fucking
are like,
hell.
well, it's not even as... This is not even as good as the Xbox version, which is just the original version.
Which I believe was a patch they kind of had to implement rather than it just being because of the backwards compatibility alone. I think I might be wrong about that. So it's a weird one, but it will make them enough money to suck the goodwill.
I get the sense that it's like all hands on deck with GTA 6. And
They
then there's
said
just
that
like,
too.
and then there's just like 2 people left that are in charge of stuff like this, and they're not savvy enough to be working on the big game, so they're just left alone to be like, oh, let's put this out, and then
they're copying the files onto Blu-rays one by one and sending them out. It's like, we can't edit it. We're not programmers.
Yeah.
We're the two people who are doing this. We also happen to be the wealthiest people at the company. So we said $50 thinking that meant nothing to anyone.
yeah.
Groceries for a month.
Or Red Dead.
Yeah.
I know which I'd choose back in the day.
I'm pumped.
Red Dead was the last game I remember being involved with a broken street date in shops big thing.
Yeah,
where I
right.
think it was like, I remember the rumors going around like, EB's doing it.
Yeah, I
EB's
remember
fucking selling them.
being on bloody Whirlpool forums and stuff
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that recently. Like, I was in a JB Hi-Fi like maybe 3 days before Tears of the Kingdom came out. And I just got really excited.
Camping out, setting up your little tent.
I was just walking through there and just it popped into my head. I was like, what if it's just on the... You know what I mean? What if I've just found some like random don't give a fuck JB where they're like the people running it are like not tapped into games at all. Like, and I really miss that, like the joy of just randomly walking past a shelf and being like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
These dumb motherfuckers have put this game out a week early.
That's the only time it happens now is if like someone doesn't know what they're doing, which most people do now.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll see people be like, I got it early because a friend opened the box.
Well, I think I've mentioned I'm reading the book Console Wars at the moment, and they talk in that about how Sonic 2, part of the marketing for that was like, we're going to have this be the first game that has a release date. Because before that, it was like stuff would just get shipped to stores. It's like, I just put it on the shelf when you get it. And there's no, that people aren't on the internet or anything. People aren't like tapped into like when stuff is meant to come out. So them just being like, we are going to create a release date for a video game. And people being like, damn, dude, you're crazy.
It's never going to work.
It's never going to work.
Well, when's International Mario's Day then? If Sonics get one.
Because, the price thing, tying into that this week, they announced that they're bringing the Ninja Turtles to Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't that long of a bucks where they've released a 7.
Yeah.
How long have I been asleep
I couldn't remember
for?
if it was 6 or 5 or anyway.
We're up to 6.
So they poached them from...
they were in Mortal Kombat last time.
Mortal Kombat.
Or Injustice,
Injustice.
was it?
Injustice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even...
They've headhunted the Turtles.
Oh my god!
Giving them a signing bonus. Oh,
I can't believe the Turtles would do that to NetherRealm.
Yeah.
It's so shellfish of them.
It is funny how
they're
it's
not
like...
shellfish.
Yeah.
I do love how we get every 6 years we have another crack at the Turtles. You know? They come back around, there'll be a new movie.
It's weird
popping
how many
up in
times.
games and shit.
Yeah.
But this is not even that... I think it's not even the actual... It's like a costume, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't even actually play as...
Right.
You're just dressing up Ryu as Donatello.
Yeah, all of the or the majority of the DLC stuff is just costumes for existing characters.
Yeah,
I haven't
and, like,
actually looked at any of the
emotes and
Turtles
shit.
ones.
And this is like more than the base game to play as the Turtles.
So I've never really interacted with a lot of the microtransaction stuff in Street Fighter 6 yet because, I tend to block that stuff out. But I believe that you can earn fight points or whatever to buy stuff eventually, but it's such a slow rate that you can't.
Right.
If you were to buy all of the Turtles stuff, it would be $100 US, 2 Red Dead ones.
Yeah.
God damn.
That's a
Red
lot.
Dead 2.
That's only 60.
Yeah. It
makes-
looks great.
Yeah.
It's
really long.
Yeah.
It's really good.
That Arthur guy. Whew,
Oh,
great
baby.
character.
It's a heap of fucking money,
Yeah.
but you're right. And
And you're not even playing... But it's like a costume. You're not even actually playing as the Turtles.
No,
Like,
it's the same as like you were saying before, where people will still buy it.
Yeah,
that whole
yeah.
whale thing that's been around. I mean, forever because it's human psychology, but also
Blue whales are the oldest, largest living mammal.
are they the oldest?
I don't know. I made that bit up because
They're so big. Maybe they
Yeah.
probably have short lifespans. I guess the bigger you get, the far harder they fall. Is that
No.
How long does a blue whale live?
100 years.
You
I
reckon?
wish I could look it up. But
I know
my phone
our
is in
phones
use.
are being
Tommy?
used.
all right.
Put that fucking coffee down and get on the ones and twos, please.
How long does a blue whale live?
Yes.
because the whale thing in mobile gaming bled into the microtransaction stuff, and like in Diablo 4, it's crazy expensive how much the stuff in there costs. It's like $25 a pop.
Yeah, I was just gonna say as well. Like, so I still play Marvel Snap, and I don't pay for anything.
Right.
But you can pay. Like, there is a bundle on there that costs $130.
And that's very typical,
Right,
for
right.
these like coin packs.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's credits and stuff, and it's like, well, 1% of the user base would buy those.
But that's all they need.
Yeah.
Get that freak.
And like, I'm not angry that it's there. I just am not going to buy it.
Yeah.
You know,
You
like
sound angry. You sound really mad.
I'm angry at you for not getting to this blue whale
It's
thing.
80 to
quicker.
90 years.
Oh.
So humanish.
So you
in
met
the
a really
wild
healthy blue whale.
estimate.
yeah.
Damn.
They eat well. You know, it's just a lot of seafood.
That's true.
Yeah.
I
They're on
don't
the
want to
seafood diet.
buy these, and I'm not in. What does that mean?
They're seafood.
I don't want to eat a blue whale.
Oh, I would like to.
Fucking fuck you, man.
They're still serving them up in Japan. I'm
Blue
not-
whales?
Well, probably not.
I reckon a blue whale would elude even the harshest hunter.
Yeah.
no,
Blue
Some-
whale, holy grail.
Yeah.
Some kind of whales.
People eat whale. People eat up these microtransactions
They certainly
too.
do.
They sure do.
Because it does work. So as much as it like would be nice for them to have it be a lower price so everyone can get their turtle fix, not enough people want their turtle fix to make that make sense. So it's commercially accurate.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you got to zoom out, and as we often say, you're talking about a luxury hobby.
Right.
It's like someone being like, "This is expensive," and a rip-off in their room surrounded by Funko Pops. It's
Right.
like you've got disposable income.
Yeah.
I
We're
think
living in
it's-
the wrong society if you want
Yeah.
everything to be fair.
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess it makes the most sense to me when it's like, well, you can get the equivalent thing in different games for less. So they are going above the market price for the product, kind of.
Yeah.
So that is always when it's like, oh, that feels gougy.
Sure.
But
Especially when in this
But
case,
then it's like, then don't participate, and they'll have to rebalance their thing
change
to the
it,
other
man.
games.
Get in there, change the culture. That's what I'm about.
especially in this case when it's like there's a physical version coming in like October or something.
Right.
But the initial launch, it's like it's
Of the-
all digital, so it's like of Red Dead.
Oh, right.
So it's like
I was going to say, of the turtle costumes?
like if all you're doing is porting it and you're like re-releasing it and putting it on shelves, it's like, oh, why is it this much? It's like, well, because there's manufacturing costs and all that comes into it. But when it's like, yeah, it's digital only to begin with, it's like, well, then make it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
That stuff's always backwards here, where the physical version is significantly cheaper than the digital version
Yeah,
of basically
yeah.
every game that comes out here, unless
Yeah.
you go buy it at EB, who are just like, we'll get them.
Yeah.
If they don't walk into a JB,
Yeah.
they'll never know that it's more
EB
here.
really are slaves to the recommended retail price.
Oh, they love it.
JB say, you can take that recommendation and shove it. We're here to smash. I came here to do two things: chew bubble gum and smash prices.
Well, you know why? If you want to get real, EB.
I
Obviously,
want to be fake as long as possible. To be
EB
honest.
has the price match, so
Right.
they will price match.
Oh, yeah.
But they also only sell video games.
yeah, true.
Well, they
And
sell all the
JB
T-shirts and bullshit now. I guess is like
Sure.
so much of it. But yes.
Like that's their business. Whereas JB, a game can be a loss leader almost
because
you
they're
walk in the
selling
door.
a Dyson on the way out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that would be why they can do it. But fuck, I don't buy a Dyson every time I go in. I buy cheap video games.
Video games
It works
cost
for
me
me.
so much, but I
Yeah.
got a lot of great vacuum cleaners.
I bought my Dyson at JB. I bought my Dyson at JB the day Tears of the Kingdom came out,
Oh.
and I walked in there, and the guy took a look at me and went, "Zelda."
Actually, it's Link.
Well, speaking of Dyson, do you want to start talking about the big Dyson game?
The thing that doesn't suck.
It does not suck at all. I don't think it blows.
Yep.
I think it is a high quality product, much like I imagine a Dyson would be. I've never been up to Dyson level of life.
I lived with someone who bought a Dyson vacuum cleaner, and let me tell you, it sucked and blowed.
The dream.
It blowed. I don't think it's meant to do that.
I hacked it.
Getting a prank Dyson for someone would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Blows it straight up into their face. we've been playing, myself and Ben.
Yes.
Have you been playing anything that you want to talk about before we get into BG?
No.
Okay.
Big Giant.
Big Giant game. Very good.
Oh.
Very good.
It's Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
It was the 9th highest ever concurrent player count on Steam. This game has done very, very well.
For the gates.
For a excuse me, for a single player game, that's crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know what the top 8 above it are. I think it was number 9 at some point.
Yeah, I think
it
I read
knocked
that,
out
yeah.
Apex Legends.
Right.
And the stuff above it is like Counter-Strike.
Right.
And,
a lot of free-to-play stuff, I assume. Yeah.
Dota, that sort of thing. So a lot of you all would have been playing it too.
Yes.
So you don't need us to tell you it's cool. So
Yeah.
see you later. It's a
We should just do that every week.
Yeah.
Either you're not playing it, you don't care, or you are and you already know. Goodbye.
Well, we do have patron opinions, which I've just realized your phone is out of commission, Ben. So Tommy will have to dig them up as well.
The blue whale of the group will have to. But yeah, so I played the early access release of it. I played that for about 8 hours. I'm just up to where I got up to.
Are you zooming through it? Because I remember when you were saying that you were playing the early access thing, you're like, yeah, I kind of did the main story in 8 hours. I've played it for 30 and I've just moved on to the second area, sort of.
Oh, really?
I'm gobbling this shit up.
Well, maybe I was. I thought that I saw all that I could see. Maybe I didn't do every single sub quest.
Right.
But I certainly saw the whole area and did all of the main quests and got to the point where they're like, hey, to get any further on your thing, you got to go over here.
Yeah, go clean up any task. It gives you that
Yeah.
notification thing.
Yes, yeah.
Man.
And
yeah.
which I've just got up to again, and I've only played it 6.5 hours this time.
That's wild. You are speed racing through this.
Yeah, and
'Cause-
now I've got to that, and it's been you are far below the required level or recommended
Okay.
level. Yeah,
Right. Well, EB style, you better get up to that recommended level.
yeah.
We should say, I guess, if you didn't know, there's been an early access for ages. It was meant to come out at the end of the month, and they moved it up on PC.
Yes.
So in this state, I will say my only real problem with the game so far, just to get it out of the way, is that it does still have quite a lot of buggy stuff in it. It is not massive yet. I've seen people saying that by Act 3 or whatever, it is a lot buggier, and there's game breaking stuff of this quest won't complete because I picked up this letter way earlier and stuff like that.
Right.
And that is kind of sometimes the nature of this game, that it is so complex that it occasionally will have some problems with that stuff. But I've had things like characters being unusable because they think they're still in a conversation while the rest are in combat.
I've noticed a couple of those, yeah.
Just people kind of jumping and jerking around when they're changing animations and stuff. A lot of it pretty minor, and a lot of it solvable with save and reload or whatever.
Right.
But worth saying that we'll talk about this game, and it is a massive game, and it is one of those big investment things. And if you hold off, they probably will patch this stuff up. So don't feel like you're missing out, I guess.
And it's hugely improved from early access to this.
Right.
Just when you would go to camp, you would see a loading screen, it would flash, and you'd see all of your characters in the previous area, and it really sort of not finished sort of processes sort of things where you'd be this is not a finished game yet.
And there's a touch of that hanging around still.
Yeah.
From here to there. But
Can you guys please tell me what this game is?
yeah, I just wanted to get
Yes.
that out of the way so we don't have to talk about it again.
Yep.
So that I can spend so long saying how good this game is.
Right.
This game is it is a top-down isometric kind of, but you can move the camera role-playing game in the style of the sort of turn of the century PC role-playing games, like your Baldur's Gate, like your Baldur's Gate 2.
Surely that
Along
gives you
those
enough
lines.
information, Tommy.
I somehow know less now than when I asked.
If you've never played a game like this before, for you, Tommy, who has played some RPGs, if you imagine Mass Effect, but with sort of tactical combat along the lines of a Mario and Rabbids or whatever, that's what you're looking at.
Okay.
With a really influenceable world where your
Yes.
choices have big impacts.
Right.
It's,
And it's not just a conversation where you're say something mean or say something nice. It's No, like you can just, like what you say to this character in your party can decide whether they fall in love with you, whether they respect you as a leader, whether you kill them in that moment, whether they'd leave the party. And that applies to kind of everything in the game. All
Right.
the quests, all the sub-quests.
Depending on what like race and class and all that stuff you chose, you might get extra options in dialogue because of that. You might have something go one way or the other because you fail or succeed in like an ability check. And it has the coolest thing about this game, and the biggest reason why I think it's like special, is because it has all of these splitting off different directions, and every single one of them so far has been satisfying.
Right.
So every success or failure state is just as much just as interesting of a story progression as each other.
Right.
To my experience so far. And I've done a couple of things where I've gone back and gone, I wonder how that would have gone.
Yeah.
And flipped back like 20 minutes and gone and redone it the other way. And it's been significantly different.
Yeah.
Both equally interesting to me.
Okay.
And it's like a fucking feat in that.
Yeah.
It is the best.
Tarantino would love it.
Oh, dude. When he got to like level 3 or whatever, you get your first feat, he'd be like, okay, here we fucking go. Okay. Now we're fucking talking here. Okay, because
Let's hold on this for a while.
I'm a Githyanki, you see, right? So the Githyank
And so it's a fantasy world. It's Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
yes.
Like it's literally, right? Like it is characters and settings and all the races, all of the like spells and literally everything.
the rules and the game and everything, it is as much of a simulation of like playing that tabletop game as possible, to the extent where it feels like the computer has a pre-programmed great imagination, like a
Yes.
really good dungeon master.
Okay.
And that it's just so fucking cool that it is getting across what would imagine if I'd have ever had people around me, it would feel like to play a real role-playing game, but in a computer form, in a way that is incredibly impressive.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think, I like love often in other games, other RPGs, like the level of customization that you can do, the level of emotion that provides you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all of it, everything, all of the best ways that you can customize and differentiate, and different weapons, different spells, different armor, the way that you combine them.
4 penis choices at
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah.
You've got 2 of each type of either cut or uncut.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
take your pick of penis. Why don't
that's-
they have a smaller one?
I can't be truly immersed. But yeah, also like I think having played D&D before, you only experience what you experience within that campaign. But this is like, oh no, there's a bit of everything. There's like there's the Githyanki, there's like tieflings, there's halflings, there's fucking the humans, half elves, and there is a concrete overarching story.
Yeah.
It's not just kind of like a procedurally generated.
Right.
Oh, if you say this to this person, we'll give you this option.
No, yeah, it's all super pre-made.
Yeah.
But there's
I've
just so
read,
much of it that it feels like it is responding to you in a really organic way.
Yes.
Right. I read in our Discord, one of our patrons, Punished Spagoo, saying that...
You've been called out, Punished Spagoo.
I chuckle every time I read that.
yeah, it's a great username.
Yeah.
He's got the Elephant Mario as his profile pic at the moment.
His address is...
It's a wonderful account. They were saying that the story engine feels similar to the Tears of the Kingdom physics engine, where it's like
sure, yeah.
you can sort of do anything and it's so reliable and it never you can try your best to break it, but it's just not going to happen. And how it's
Yeah.
the same kind of sounds like what you're saying with the like branching paths and stuff. It's like nothing is going to rattle it. If something's meant to happen, but you've killed off a certain person or whatever, it's going to find a way to bring it in another way.
And that's
through
the
another
thing.
person.
Like, you can get a character killed. You can end up failing something. You can fuck stuff up. And like that will be failed. It's not like it'll go, oh, but actually we can go and do this and help them.
Right.
Like you can fuck it up, but it will account for that.
Yeah.
So it will still feel bad to fuck something up.
Right.
But you're not going to, well, until maybe later in the game, break the game with it,
Right.
or break the storytelling with it, which is the biggest thing that it's doing, is being this like story simulator. In the start, it's like The Witcher or something like that, where it's like this grubby old fantasy world,
Yes.
and everything's all fucked, and everyone's tired.
Everyone's mad at each other and
There's so many
being
problems.
selfish. Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
these tentacle guys, they're all out for blood.
God.
It does, like, when you go in, there's like a small sort of introduction area, and very quickly, I had a bit of whiplash from at the start because it is not long before everyone you're traveling with is like, you are the best friend I've ever had in my life. Like, we've slept once.
Yes,
since
yeah,
we
yeah.
met. I know how long it's been, and you're real clingy. But
You did go through a traumatic experience together,
you did.
but I also agree it's weird.
It gets
It's been a fair bit of that recently. I feel like we've talked about this a bit in a few different. There was that Marvel game.
Yeah.
It's
Ah,
definitely
yes.
in Fire Emblem Engage. Like, oh, it's just such an honor to be
Yes.
serving alongside the great dragon. I
Yeah.
love you.
Totally. And you can piss them off to the same extent too. But I suppose that is also just an element of what these kind of role-playing games are like IRL. Because you've got to get it moving,
Exactly.
you know.
And either it doesn't matter because you're all friends in real life who have decided to play a game together.
Yeah.
Or like I was talking to someone who plays D&D and they were like, yeah, I joined an existing campaign. So, you know, in the reality of that campaign, they're like, oh, we just stumbled across this person who's in trouble and we decided to save them and now they're our friend.
Yeah. It's
You know.
not going to be fun to sit around a table being like, well, we don't really know you, so no.
Yeah. Just like, let's have a few more long conversations
Yeah.
where we can suss each other out and then we'll go on an adventure.
And like the fact that every character is so horny if you want them to be.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
also can, you could, depending on what choices you're making, they can be like, no, we're work friends. And adventure is
Or
our
you can be
work.
like, I actually disapprove of a lot of the things that you do, but look, it's better for us to travel together because,
Yeah.
you know, we're in danger.
It is super tempting because you can quick save at any time and then go back and reload very easily and like redo a dice roll or whatever so
Right.
that you succeed. Don't do that. At least on this game, it's massive, so it seems daunting to be like, you can replay it and do that. But I
Right.
reckon the best way to go through this is to just play it as it lies and see what happens, because so far it's given me no reason to doubt that it will have something for me, whatever takes place.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most interesting way to do it right now, because it is building this like customized emergent story for you that is so well written, so well acted.
Yeah.
All of the voice acting is great. A lot of your classic like, "Oi, what are you looking at?" A lot of those guys here. But
Hey, I'm a mean lady and I'm going to be mean to you.
oh yeah, you reckon you want to come in a goblin cap, do ya? Well, answer me these questions, free then.
I'm a creepy man and I'm going to give you a choice between
Yeah.
two things.
I'm a weird book. Open me. But it's like that around every corner. The thing is so dense with interesting and creative stories, some of which, of course, fall into very stereotypical fantasy type things of like, damn, is this amulet fucking cursed? Oh,
Right.
no.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's doing most of it with such a sense of fun that I'm loving that about it too, that it has it's colorful and it's got a sense of humor often, and it is just so engaging and Moorish. Like, I want to see what is everywhere here, and I want to talk to everyone, and all of the characters have been interesting who you travel with so far.
Yeah.
I'm fucking loving this thing, dude.
I think
7
I'm
out of
going to have to
10.
play this goddamn game.
Because
Yeah.
then the other thing is, when you start fighting, it's a really well-made, like, tactical strategy kind of game.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So
So
yeah.
it's turn-based?
Yes, so
Okay.
you'll walk up and then it'll be like blah, maybe a little buggy sort of, jitter, but then it'll be like you're in combat now. And so it'll be like it'll do an initiative roll in the background. So it's like, okay, we've figured out an order. The order may be you, one of your characters, 2 enemies, 2 of your, it just sort of
You'll see
randomly
it along the
decides.
top.
Yeah.
They'll have
Right.
little pictures.
And then, based on what character classes and stuff that you've got in your party, I'm playing as a wizard, so but you'll give each character like a melee weapon and a bow and arrow. but it's like, okay, I've got these little minor spells that I can do at any time, little fireball, whatever. You'll have once per day, and you can reset the day kind of whenever you want. Bigger spells.
But if you do reset the day, sometimes time will progress and something will happen.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful when you do it.
Yes. But yeah, you'll get like a sick-ass spell, and so you're like, oh, should I use it in this little bit of combat, or should I wait because I think this is just near the start of a quest line and I might want to get to, you know. But you could do ranged spells and like spells of effect, give people shields and stuff like that. It all takes, doing each thing takes a action of some kind.
You've got an action and a bonus action, and then you get sort of supplementary things depending on the class, like these superiority dice for fighters, for example, which like will be involved in some of your bigger attacks. It'll roll one of them as well, but you've got a set number of them per rest and so on.
And you have movement as well, obviously, and it's different based on, I think, like skill points and stuff like that, right? Like, the more dexterity you have, the more you can walk and shit. But yeah, it's basically, move and attack or attack a couple of times, and it will cycle through, you or your opponents. And the way that you combine all the abilities and spells and, weapons of your party, you can do it better, you can do it worse, you can figure it out as you go. I mean, you'll have to, but there's so much depth to it that you're like, well, okay, I can just have a healer and I can have a attacker. I can have like melee attackers and a ranged person, or everyone can be crazy wizards, or, like you can kind of figure out the way that you want to approach combat, the way that approaching combat may work, generally is something you figure out as you go. But it's so up to you, basically.
Totally. It's got this really great like improvisational feel.
Yeah.
Like I'm traveling with this one of my characters, Colin Mockery, is like really good at whenever there's anyway.
What is he good at, Colin Mockery?
I wish I'd have chosen Wayne Brady because he has he's a bard.
Yeah.
Colin Mockery's just like a background character.
He's good at the hoedown.
That's the thing.
Sure.
But Wayne
Do the hoedown
can't be
every
beaten
day.
in the hoedown.
Yeah.
But anyway, you so like you can really interact with the environment. Like you can throw a chair at someone if you want, and that will take an action. And it is such a direct translation of like the Dungeons and Dragons rules, where like that whole thing is you're able, because you're just talking to a person, to be more creative than most games let you be, because you can say, well, can I climb up this wall and then pull the candelabra off the ceiling and drop it on their head? But the game is so thought out that a ton of those candelabras are objects. And if there's like a big lever that pulls, makes a hammer drop nearby. If you're in the Tom and Jerry part of the world.
Believe it or not, if you pull that hammer, if you pull that lever, that hammer drops.
And
but also, there'll be like, little, instead of a candelabra, maybe there's like a little hanging fire thing. And you're like,
brazier.
well, I'll shoot that with an arrow. It's going to fall on that guy's head and he's going to go on fire. And you do that kind of stuff.
But whenever you like, because so much of it is based on dice rolls and stuff, you have to improvise as it goes. And it's done in this way that doesn't feel... in like an XCOM or something, if it'll be like, you've got a 95% chance of hitting and then you miss, you're like, well, fuck off. Fuck off. That shouldn't have happened. I'm never feeling like that here.
Okay.
Whatever's happening is happening. And I'm like, damn, get over here, my other friend. You got to come over. We're best friends, I know. You got to come over here. And now the whole plan has changed because that missed.
Right, yes.
And I'm loving that about it as well, because like it's so physical. Like where you're standing and where you can move to and where the other people are, it all matters, and it's all stuff to take into account in a very natural feeling way.
Okay.
I saw it, like I was reading, because I got up to this bit at the end of that area, and it was obviously like the fight is obviously too hard for me.
Right.
But I was like, oh, what am I meant to do here? And I just read like a comment being like, having the higher ground in this game is more important than having better weapons, better armor, because it's like, in real life, that accounts for a huge element of priority and advantage.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that makes sense.
Can't drop an anvil on someone who's above you.
No, that's true.
I've been playing Tom and Jerry today.
But if you're strong like me, you pick the anvil up and throw it up. It's really easy.
The person sees it coming up and goes, wow, and then they faint out of respect.
Yes. Yeah.
that sort of stuff is important.
Yep.
If you're using like a spellcaster or a ranged person.
Yeah.
But then if you're a fighter, you're getting up there in the muck,
Yeah.
and you've got some abilities that might be able to like scare the enemy, and like then they'll
Yes.
not be as effective for a while. Or you can disarm them and then pick up their sword and fucking throw it away. You can kick them off of a fucking ledge.
Yeah,
You can
I've been kicked off a ledge so many times.
I got kicked into some fucking lava.
Yeah,
And let me
yeah.
tell you, I hated it.
Owie.
Yeah. It
was-
really made me mad.
I had this great fight where, like, I'd sort of figured it out. I thought I'd figured it out. I had the higher ground. I had all my spells had been recharged. I was ready to roll, picking everyone off. All the enemies are like getting quite low on health, and I decide to kind of take a proactive, move a bunch of my fighters towards them, as opposed to holding back. And after I do that, one of the enemies, who happened to be like a mage sort of guy, is like, I'm going to pull that statue, that giant statue that was just part of the room, onto you.
Yeah.
And it's going to kill both of those people who just happened to be standing there.
That shit's great.
I didn't see that coming.
And that's the thing. It's such a it's all such well-built systems interacting with each other that it creates these unpredictable things that usually pan out in the way where you're like, yeah, damn, I guess that statue would have fucking bonked me.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. It's so natural feeling the whole time
Yeah.
you're doing everything. It feels like there's not been dialogue choices often where I'm like, oh, I wouldn't say any of this shit. There's usually something there. I'm like, yeah, that's what this fucking
that's
dog
Noxie,
would
all right.
say. I can't emphasize enough what an achievement of a fucking game this is, because it is doing stuff that a ton of games have done, especially ones like 20 years ago that this is inspired by, and it's doing it like significantly better than almost any game ever.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's so complex, but it all works somehow.
Yeah.
I think also, like, visually there are some glitches and some bugs, but also the level of detail on character models especially, I think is really, really impressive.
It's nice. They're usually like, it's crazy the amount of like seemingly custom or whatever you'd call it, like specific animations for what they're saying, because often they'll be gesturing exactly right for what they're saying.
Yes.
It won't just be someone moving their hands up and whatever and talking. They'll be like, yeah, there's fucking goblin over there, and they'll point and shit. Like, it's the amount of that makes it feel crazy.
Yeah, right. Should we get into some patron feedback?
Sure. I just want to say again, this is a good game. And I really think as well, because like it's such a complex and massive thing, it's worth pointing out that like it isn't overwhelming, because it is so you can take it at such a slow pace if you want to. And there's so much good stuff at every point along the way that I don't think it needs to be as intimidating as it might sound.
Right.
I do think this would be a crowd pleaser.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's also worth pointing out, because there's so much going on, but also like the crazy thing about it is how natural and logical it all feels.
Yes. And I think it introduces you, apart from that like actual intro bit before you like land in the world.
Yeah.
That next bit, the first sort of real quest or area that you go and get to, sets you up with a really interesting sort of series of choices and moral quandaries that are sort of clear while being very subtle and nuanced, if you want to approach it that way. So it sets you up with this sort of little microcosm of the game where it introduces you very well, and it's well paced, and it's, like you say, it's not overwhelming. It's like, look, there's these people and these people. Maybe you can get them to work together. Maybe you can solve their problems separately. Maybe you don't have to solve either of their problems and you just go out after your own, sort of goals. But here's a little setup. Have at it. And it's a great way to, after literally throwing you into the world, let you sort of come to grips with how the game works and how the storytelling works and the branching paths work.
And if you just take your time with it and read the descriptions of what spells are and stuff, like I do think, same with a lot of like RPGs and stuff, when you're making your character initially, you're not given enough context for what everything means.
Right.
It does assume a bit of like, you know what constitution is, right? So maybe
it's a document that sets out the rights.
It's the only thing I respect. It's the only thing I love.
It's weird that you respect the Constitution so much, but the Second Amendment, which was a change, is really the favorite part of it for you.
When they started adding dexterity, that's when they lost me.
The right to bear flaming arms.
Oh, the right to fuck bears.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's so horny in this game.
Yeah. As is everyone who plays D&D. They're all in a polycule and they all fuck each other.
That's kind of they've simulated that.
They have. They truly have.
And so you can just kind of follow that main path, but like if you go and wander off and explore, there's a ton to do.
Yeah.
There's heaps of shit everywhere. So the game will adapt to how you want to play it, I suppose is the thing. So like I could see people thinking, oh, maybe this is a bit much for me. I still reckon maybe you'd like it, whoever you are. Anyone in the world.
Anyone in the world.
Anyone.
You like stories?
Yeah.
Then go on.
Okay. From our Patreon, you can sign up, and we do a bonus show about movies and TV shows and stuff every week. And also, when there's a big game, we do the call out to get some listener reviews on here. Joe says, absolutely in love. Having a blast with my half-orc pissing everyone off. I brought it last year in early access, so I've stormed through Act 1, and boy, the freedom you have is immense. Haven't tried multiplayer, so I can't comment on that, but I'm looking forward to trying it. Had a few bugs and fallen out of the world twice, but nothing I can't overlook for the sheer amount of fun I'm having. The voice acting is great and had no cringe. I've had a few parts struggling with the graphics, but I think that's just me pushing my laptop too hard. I'm struggling to see how anything is going to knock this from Game of the Year spot for me. What else? Steve says, obsessed. It's truly remarkable how they've made your playthrough feel unique to your own character. My race, for example, seems to have given me free reign in areas others would not, meaning my story would already be so different to so many others. I'm only still at the beginning, taking my time and just excited to explore.
Hell yeah.
Wade says, between early access and full release, I have about 57 hours in. I'm having a great time, and as a tabletop RPG player for years, they do about the best possible job I can imagine at recreating that feeling. My early access playthrough and this playthrough have been unique to one another because of different race, class, or dialogue choices. Additionally, it runs relatively well on the Steam Deck. Must be nice.
Oh.
Yeah. I think, if you like...
It's very scalable, it seems like, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was fucking heating the shit out of my computer at first, I think because it was like... have unlocked frames type of thing.
Right.
So it was generating.
So what have I got? A 4060 Ti.
I think you've got a 3060.
A 3060.
Yeah.
Yes. No, you're right. And like 20 gig of RAM. Kind of an older processor, which I probably need to upgrade or update. But I'm playing it on like 1080p high, and
Right.
and that's like perfectly smooth. I was running it at 1440, and it was a bit. Dodgy.
It's got the DLSS stuff, so I've got it at 4K. I'm on a 2070 Super and stuff, which is like probably roughly the same as a 3060.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
And it's running fine. Like you can,
Right.
you can absolutely get this running on anything. And then it'll come out on the PS5 in September.
Yes.
And it'll be on the Xbox probably early next year. They reckon now for some reason. I'm not sure what the delay is in that, but also. You're not harming yourself by holding off for a little while because it's already had 2 small updates of just fixing some bugs, taking the fucking overlay of the version number off, which I appreciated.
Oh, yeah.
Had that again, Dave the Diver style for some fucking reason.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Matthew says, the appearance choices are underwhelming, particularly limited in facial customization and no options to adjust once chosen. The camera is maddening, especially in tight combat situations, and could desperately use a Y-axis control. And inventory management is an absolute slog. This is also the best game I've played all year and possibly ever.
Yeah, I do think all 3 of those things are fair to say.
Our inventory is okay because you can if you hit tab, it opens all 4 of your current characters, and you can just like mix and match shit to them and then send it to your camp.
I've found when I'm looking for something specific, just having the little icons, I'd like a list mode or something with the name of the icon of the item there as well.
Yeah.
Maybe because like I was looking for a bomb and fucking everything looks just like a little circle. So
because you can sort by like maybe 5 values, but they're
and like the latest thing you've got is a good way to sort.
Oh yeah.
That's useful. But it's very like around the year 2000 PC style stuff.
Yes.
And the whole game is where it's like it's what people back then thought the best game ever would be.
Yeah.
Right.
Days.
Yes,
And
true. Diablo
so
2, but with RPG elements.
Dude, imagine if they made a Baldur's Gate 3.
Well,
we were
bitch.
saying it. Oh, shit.
They done it.
I had a thought fly in and then fly out.
Calling it Baldur's Gate 3.
I do agree the camera in combat can be annoying because there's a bit where there's quite a bunch of like verticality to it, and I'm like, I've got a bow and arrow and there's a guy who's just shot at me, but I can't fucking get the camera to go up there.
Right, and you can click on their like character portraits up the top to attack them and shit, or you can like hold down Alt and it'll show you like the names of all the items in the world, so you can click on that to go get it rather than having to search around. Like, it has a lot of that sort of stuff that is helpful, but then is also sort of awkward because it's like, oh, what? I think it was Shift C to crouch.
Sure.
You can also play it with a controller, and this is bizarre to me. Have you tried it with a controller?
No, I have not.
When you do, the fonts change to like this really wacky font. It's like this real, like, it's a very strange looking.
This is dumb, but that's really sold me.
It's like this like kind of jaunty, you know, like someone writing on a scroll or whatever, but in all caps. And so not like cursive sort of elf writing, like if a real meat and potatoes guy was writing on a scroll, which is very weird. And maybe you can change that. I didn't try the controller mode for long, but you can do that and then move around with the controller. It's
zany font.
Seems fine for that. It's such a weird thing. Don't know if you can switch
controller,
it.
You must be a real freak.
Entering baby mode.
Yeah, exactly. Only kids have controllers.
Yeah.
But it seems like it all the actions were. It seems like the controls were fine for that.
Right, yeah, right.
It was all a lot of like press the D-pad and then this button and whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a go.
It's a fucking corker.
It's annoying when something
Never seen
something unexpectedly coming along when it's like an indie or whatever is like, okay, a little 10-hour thing, but it's like something coming along that you had just like not budgeted the time for, like a 100-hour thing is like,
I held off on Persona 5 for a fair while, I think, back when that came out, because I was like, I cannot imagine having that much time.
I feel a bit like that at the moment, but yeah,
I think
sounds very good.
And it is absolutely fine to play in any size chunk.
Yeah.
Is the other thing too. You can save at any time. Oh, it doesn't pause ever. Like, if you go into the options, even in a conversation, the conversation will just keep going in the background.
That's weird.
That shit's bizarre. It has a co-op mode, which I haven't tried, but I assume that's why.
Right.
Because it's sort of built to be able to have that running. But that's kind of annoying sometimes.
Even when you press escape and go to like, wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but yes, you can. You just hit F5 all the time. Just constantly quick save. Just make sure you.
Right. And if you're in, you can enter the turn-based mode at any time.
Yeah. Yes.
So that is a sort of a pause. But that's just a strange quirk that I imagine they might figure out later down the line. But what was I fucking saying before that?
You said it was a great game.
Yeah.
I would say, you don't have to play it
Tune
now.
out after that.
But
Oh yeah, it's you can eat it in small chunks.
Yeah,
and like, as long as you give it a crack before the end of the year, you probably will want to have seen what it's like before we do our.
This has been a damn good year,
man.
This might be one of the best years in a long time.
Holy
I am
shit.
going to have had with this and Tears of the Kingdom at least 2 games that I play for more than 100 hours.
Well, I'm I'm
Which
sinking
is
all of
crazy.
my spare time into Pikmin 4. I'm trying to do everything. I want 100% the whole goddamn thing. I think I'm at 30 hours at this point. I don't think I'm quite, but I'm just like, I've gone back to the other areas and I'm trying to like 100% all them before I move on. Like we said the other week, it is bizarre how much of the game happens after the credits roll. The credits should not be there. It's not the end. It's not even close to the end of the game.
And they're not done right if they're meant to be a joke.
Right.
They're not. They're just earnest. They're just done. They're just like.
It's sort of silly. It's similar to 2 did the same thing. I think 3 did a similar thing too, but just without as much on the back end.
Well, I think I kind of had the same thing weirdly with Red Dead 2, where it was like it ends and then it's got that post bit, but it's there's so much in that, and I just didn't. I just didn't go back to it for ages because I kind of assumed I'd finished it, and then people kept going like, "No, that bit's great," and there's like heaps of it.
Yeah,
it's sort of similar to that. It's got this like awesome thing that you discover, which mild spoiler for Pikmin
4. With the L.
You're finding you're looking for a little guy.
Yeah.
in the game.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. And then the
and
guy's got some stuff to do.
He's got some stuff to do.
Yeah.
It's a very classic Nintendo, putting a little old thing hidden in a
Right.
current thing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I'm still finding you keep unlocking like more new stuff to do. There is so much stuff in it. It's like it beyond just being like going through the campaign. There is so many extra little challenges and stuff to find and keep you busy.
And they're all great.
heaps in it. Yeah.
The two of my favorite games I've ever played have come out within the last month. Pikmin 4 is one of them. Baldur's Gate 3 is the other.
Oof.
Massively recommend them both.
Oh, I did a bit more of that Disney Illusion Island too, and it's
yeah.
it's fun.
Mate, there's better stuff. Come on. No, yeah, it was all right. I was enjoying that.
Yeah, it's an all right little
I
game.
thought that's what you meant with your favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
Disney Illusion Island.
That Mickey man.
Ah.
Oh, I can't wait for mods and shit to show up for Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Let me play as fucking Darth Vader and shit,
Oh,
man.
dude.
This would be a good one if it's possible to make it like Neverwinter Nights. Whole thing back in the day was like you can really easily make your own campaigns.
Ah, yes. Yeah,
This is
true.
such a good Dungeons and Dragons system that if they found a good way to release a thing where like now go crazy.
Go crazy. Have a dungeon master who makes the campaign for you, and all get on co-op and go. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
None of it's going to be probably to the level of this campaign they've made, but the
Yeah,
tools that they've got there that they have made this with, even though their game that they've made these tools with is sometimes broken.
Yeah.
So maybe, but I would love for that sort of thing to happen one day. It's an all fucking timer. Cannot say enough good things about it, and I will not say enough good things about it. Strap in for another hour of me fucking saying how much I like these goddamn elves.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to get it. All
Yeah.
right.
It's good as hell, man. Do it. You ain't missing out if
Yeah.
you wait though, because it will. There's
get
some stuff to fix.
smoothed over. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's gonna do us for another week here on Filthy Casuals. Thank you for listening. Head to filthycasuals.com.au for links to all the stuff that we have going on. Get on the Patreon. Get the the different show that we do every week.
Yes.
Our little bonus episode, which is about movies, TV, all the other stuff in culture that's not video games.
Sometimes little funny stories of
Yeah.
things that we do that aren't even movies or TV shows.
It's a good podcast.
Yeah.
You'll like it if you like this.
Yep.
And we've got the we've got heaps of stuff on the YouTube channel. Check
Oh,
it
yeah.
out. We just did what's it called?
Shadows of Doubt. We played about an hour and a bit of felt around a bit in that,
Detective-ing.
tried to figure out how to play it almost. But it's sick. Very similar to Baldur's Gate 3 in that it's very huge and open and responsive, but I think he's literally procedurally generated that one.
Yeah.
But that was fun, us being three dumbass detectives.
Yeah. Check all that out. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. And as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals,
Hickory dickory dock, I got to choose my elf's cock. That's Andrew 20-sided dice clay.
yes.
Woo! Yes.